At Margaret River, and Felipe, well, he's going to be making a huge leap because he had a round 2 exit at event 1. And as we go straight into quarterfinal number 4 with Kolohe Andino up. And this guy has been a sleeper through the round, surfing incredibly well, getting a solid finish there over that very shallow inside section.
Oh, how's that technique? Save the board, throw the head underneath.
We've seen it a couple of times already. Body before board. These guys, they know when they're on a magic piece of equipment. We saw it from John Florence earlier. And Andino just bottoming out here.
He's trying to figure out where that spot is to jump in. He's going to paddle back out. Maybe not. We'll see. But I think, I think something happened previous to that too, right? Before we caught this wave.
We heard a huge howl from the crowd.
You would think he maybe got barreled. Here's a replay. Look at the size of this wave. And look at this section. Wow, and you hear the crowd, very intelligent crowd. They know what the ultimate of surfing is, and the ultimate being the barrel ride. What a nice wave here for Kolohe to start off right at the horn. That is so much confidence. You would just be pumped up. Adrenaline, everything's like, yep, I got one. Now I need one more.
Good read, wasn't it? Not every wave barrels out here at main break. Those big set waves, they can pinch, they can clamp, but Kolohe, he bided his time. He waited for that section to stand up, and now Jordy's trying to find a reply. He's going to need a big one. Long drawn out swoop. And now setting up the inside. Big, powerful gaff, get some fin release there. So an amazing turn to finish, but not much else on the outside.
Well, we've known that a lot of the credit can be given to that last final maneuver. We've seen it, and I just elaborate on the barrel there from Kolohe, is that you were talking about that you don't see it very often here, but I think that's what gives it a lot of extra value. Is that finding that wave that's going to give you that opportunity to find the tube right here, you can reward it. Let's take a look at Jordy's outside section here. Again, a little flat, but he does well to kind of carve back in here, and he's warming up. This is probably his first surf this morning. Don't know that for sure, but maybe he was out there for the early. But look at that turn, just hooking into it. That final maneuver has been scoring so well. Judges eat that up, especially when you can pull it off. And that was a steeper section too, and he did it in the kind of late in regards to how that convergence happens. He didn't force it earlier to make sure that he stayed out of the way of the white water. He did it right in the right time and pulled it off. So I think there'll be a pretty good score allocated for that.
The trend so far in the quarterfinals has been the first surfer to get to their feet in each of the quarterfinal heats so far has gone on to win. Even Felipe, who fell and got caught behind on his first ride, actually just found the rhythm after that and went on to get the win. So positive signs for Andino, who kicked off this exchange with a 9.17. Jordy Smith getting a 6 for his ride, and really all those points coming on the back of that final turn.
So I think that one of the trends though too is that don't rest on your laurels with that 9.17. I think that there's something to be said about getting nice quick reps for Kolohe. So I think he should just keep moving.
Well, just under 26 minutes to go, and Andino out in front in quarterfinal number 4. Jordy Smith trying to chase him down.
Kolohe, coming off your best year on tour, do you feel like you have rivals on tour?
Everyone else drives different. Maybe they want that tension. Maybe they want that behind-the-scenes kind of vibes. I don't want to give anyone another reason to want to beat me.
When guys are on point and they're feeling it, you just really got to step up. At this stage in the competition now, you really just got to lay it all on the line and you got to start pushing.
Looks like his board's tombstoning.
Wow, he's just giving that the fire hydrant.
Welcome back to finals day here at Margaret River for the Drug Aware Pro. We have Kolohe Andino and Jordy Smith out there fighting for a place in the semi-finals. And have a look at the heat score averages for these competitors. Jordy 13.21, Kolohe just on 11.45, but both coming from the same place on the ratings into this battle in 9th position and carrying a lot of form with their free surfing performances, with their heat efforts. See some great work by both these competitors, Pete, in 2017 already.
Yeah, and I think that this is a bit of a rivalry kind of between these two. They've been able to match up quite a bit and fairly even. But what a start for Kolohe Andino.
.22.5 minutes remaining. Strider Wasilewski enjoying this battle, Strider, between two competitors that are really trying to elevate their game and get into that title conversation.
Well, yeah, I mean, they've been in the conversation ending out the year last year. You know, Kolohe 4th in the world, Jordy 2nd in the world. These two kids are coming into this thing under the radar, under John's radar, right? And really right there at the forefront of the title race. I love the fact that they've kind of secured and been really comfortable in that place under the radar, because they've been able to swing for the fences and really not have to worry about anybody really looking at them as tightly and as deeply as everybody else. So I love the fact that these two have got the rivalry, are just so good. And right now we're going to see Kolohe answer back to his opening ride. Bang! Right up into the bowl. Beautiful attack. Whips it around, comes around the inside corner again, and he's out of my view, boys.
Well, Kolohe bringing this one through to the inside, banking off that oncoming section. Great read there from Andino. Really impressive stuff for the 23-year-old as Jordy Smith looks to reply. Has to get out in front of that foam, does very well to hang on.
So sturdy, you know, that's the forte of Jordy Smith. You know, he's one of those surfers that actually can kind of control the wave at points because he's just so strong and sturdy. Both these surfers knowing how important it is, again, to finish these rides off. So they'll do everything they can to make sure of that. Great backup now for Kolohe. He'll be looking solid, backing up that 9. Jordy starting to answer back as well, but look at this. That priority is so important. He picks a clean, big wall, really unloads on that first maneuver. Little bouncy and redirects here, but knows, again, final move, I gotta make it happen, and he does.
You can see just the difference in his approach from that first ride, 9.17. He already knew on the 9.17 he was on his way to a good number after the barrel, and that one he was more aggressive, and we're expecting a solid backup. Jordy's wave was pretty decent too, Pete.
It was, you know, and I think a lot of what Jordy did on this one, especially that final move, was that wasn't a very high quality wave. His surfing is going to give him the score there, because he had to force the issue on that first maneuver, again, fighting that whitewater from the previous wave, but no problem for Jordy. And then that finish at the end too, again, perfectly timed. So he's going to get himself in this heat.
On the exchange, who do you think the advantage is going to go to?
It's tough not to score the quality of the wave as a judge. Also the strength of that first maneuver for Kolohe, but I feel like there's going to be a little extra given to Kolohe, because I mean it was a much more high quality wave, even though the surfing that was done on Jordy's wave, but very similar. Well, I'm wrong.
Well, Jordy Smith gets himself a 7.5. Kolohe Andino a 6.83, and it was very close. A couple of judges really couldn't see too much of a difference. Generally speaking, though, everyone just gave a slight advantage by half a point to Jordy Smith.
And I think, you know, there's the two high quality maneuvers from Jordy. You know, you had the outside and the finish. Whereas I think, you know, Kolohe had two solid moves too, but the finish was more of a redirect rather than a full maneuver. And there it is, that strength of that first turn was so clean. You know, they both kind of had better quality second maneuver too, I think, for Jordy. Definitely the last move was strong. So yeah, we'll give it a little bit to that. I mean, it wasn't the highest quality wave there, but again, you see that Jordy was able to execute the best moves. I like that turn though. You know, I thought that was probably, for me, one of the nicest turns, depending on it. There's two different styles and approaches. And to be able to pull that off was pretty neat too, because, you know, he had to, that was the only type of maneuver that was going to work for him to make it
that we've spoken a little bit about it, and in these offshore conditions, there's a real advantage for those surfers who throw a lot of water just to help maximise the size of the turn from such a long way away for the judging panel. And Jordy's turns released a lot of water, both his opening move and the finishing move, whereas Kolohe was kind of under the pocket with that first snap, so it didn't get that big fan. And then when he banked off the end section, as difficult and high risk as that move was, it didn't
there was no water
leave a
flying
big
around.
fan.
Yeah. No, and agreed. I mean, if you could, you know, I'd be love to see if we could get a pulled back view even further back than that, you know, is truly what you're seeing with the naked eye. And again, you're right. It does, you know, and that's how the judges are taking their first initial reaction to it, is a much further back view. We get to pull in, slow things down, and get right into it.
Down to 17 minutes.
So just over 17 minutes to go, and despite the fact that Jordy got the jump on Kolohe on that last exchange, Andino with the 9.17, still well out in front at this point, and Jordy's after an 8.51. We haven't seen any heats turned around throughout the quarterfinals so far.
Yeah, pretty much been a buzzer-to-buzzer thing, and the only other heat that we saw that it wasn't the first surfer that took off was Felipe. That first exchange, he came behind, but he definitely answered back and ended up taking that win. Wasn't the highest heat total we've seen all morning, but it, you know, getting those double digits, you know, upwards of 12, 13 points, it can be enough sometimes.
Sixteen and a half minutes to go. The winner of this heat is going to take on Felipe Toledo, and Barton Lynch is with Felipe now.
Felipe Toledo through to the semi-finals. Got to be stoked.
Oh yeah, definitely. Really happy with the result right now. Especially, you know, coming from our quarterfinals against Adriano, who won this event in 2015. So really special moment right now.
And you must look up to Adriano. He's kind of the godfather of this Brazilian storm.
Yeah, definitely. That's right. You know, he's like, you know, the top guy from this generation. So he's the one that leads the team. So we call him captain. So he's the man. You know, like always. I still have a photo with him in one of the, you know, WQSs in Ubatuba, where I used to live. And he was like, you know, a top at the time, and I was like just a little kid, probably like 12, 13 years old. I was like, dude, can I get a photo with you? And I still have the photo. So it's really amazing today, like being here in the CT event, you know, like doing what we love and surfing against Adriano. It's really special.
And the conditions are perfect. Tell us about the waves.
Yeah, thank God. Thank God the waves are perfect, you know, clean conditions. We waited to the last day. I was like, maybe it's gonna get good or maybe not. So thank God, yeah, it's perfect. You know, waves are firing, and yeah, looking into the semis.
Yeah. How are you feeling about that semi?
Yeah, pretty good. I'm feeling like really I'm stoked, definitely, and I'm ready for it. So waves are good, and I'm surfing good. My board's good. Yeah, can't wait.
Congratulations. Something for your fans in Brazil?
Yeah, thanks. Valeu, galera que tava torcendo aí, tamo junto, passei para semis, bateria foi bem apertada ali com o Mineiro, ele que é um cara que comanda, né, essa nossa geração. Então um momento muito especial, muito amarradão, agradecido a Deus e bora para semi. Valeu!
Felipe Toledo keeping his dream alive.
On fire, and Felipe there just paying a lot of respects to Adriano de Souza, the man they call the captain.
Captain.
That's pretty cool.
There's another captain on the North Shore. Captain Kolohe.
Here we go. Andino on his last wave. A couple of waves ridden during that interview, Pete, and there was some pretty solid numbers dropped.
Yeah, well, I think that you're going to see Jordy Smith is going to make a major comeback into this heat. And then you see this. Pretty good stuff from Kolohe. But when you have an exchange as that compared to what you're going to see from Jordy, you're going to say that I think the advantage going to Jordy. Good size set wave, but look at this turn here. Straight up in that vertical section. Comes out with a ton of speed right into a beautiful arc. You know, he's able to hold all the way through the inside and get a nice completed finish move. So this is a strong wave for Jordy. And now we've got a heat on our hands. This is going to be right up there.
Definitely. Here it is in slow-mo, that first turn.
But look at the angle of approach. That is all the difference in the world. is when you can get that nose pointed straight up. And again, you talk about putting water off the rail. Jordy is by far one of the best at it. Especially on his forehand, he was able to just throw full fire hose off the rail. It's literally all the way to the sky. It's probably highest. If you're going to put a spray amplitude, he would be one of those guys.
Makes it look so pretty, yeah. Definitely after watching his recent free surfing clip just now and seeing the surfing that he was doing on the Gold Coast before being knocked out in round 5, just had me thinking that Jordy's going to have an even better shot at a world title in 2017 than he did last year. I know he got to second, but it never really felt like he was in the fight. There was a mathematical chance going into Portugal, the final event there in Europe, but it just seemed like a long shot. He still had a lot of ground to make up if he was still in contention going into Pipe, but this year looks really focused. He's surfing very well. I've just been waiting for him to click with main break because it just seems like it should suit him so well, but he's had a couple of tough heats throughout.
Well, look at this score coming in now for Jordy.
An 8.33 for Jordy Smith, so he doesn't turn the heat. And he's still after a 7.68. Let's see what our Strider thought of that first turn from Jordy Smith. Strider, your thoughts?
Oh, the hammer. He paddled by with a huge smile on his face. He loved it. We loved it. I mean, absolutely just ripped through the top of that thing. Fire hose went off, as I would say. The Christmas trees just through the air. You can just see spray going up to the heavens. So nice work right there. I think the score came in under the requirement just because the rest of the wave didn't finish out with turns as big and explosive as the first one. So all of that score pretty much coming into that first huge gouge. It's just beautiful surfing by Jordy, looking like he's on his way to, trying to get the ball rolling here. Enough time left for another exchange to go down. And I love that there is a bit of a battle going on, a little rivalry between these two guys. They're both coming into this thing, coming off a great finish last year and looking to start this year out really well.
Definitely, yeah. We're seeing some great performances from both these guys here in WA and really enjoying them back it up, those strong performances from last season, because they're typically kind of hot and cold competitors, aren't they? They've had up and down finishes on the ratings. So it looks like they're starting to cement their place right up there at the top.
Well, if you look at the judges' scores, one gave it a 9, 2 8.5s, which was still slightly under the requirement needed. It was an 8.51 and then 2 8s. Of course, the average comes out as an 8.33. And it's just one judge going, oh, well, maybe I throw that a 9. One judge is, and then all of a sudden the score's there. So it's just, that's how close it is in comparisons. And, it's...
What do you think?
I thought it was going to be enough. I thought I was right there. But I didn't. Again, that's one perspective. But it's a close heat. I hope they get another set here to finish this one out, because I think they really need to get those backup scores now and see where this heat unfolds.
So just over 9.5 minutes to go. Let's see if Jordy Smith is agitated after that last number. He's looking left. We haven't seen this too often. Drives up into that first section. A nice vertical approach. It did flatten out a little bit, but let's see if he can get more work done down the line. Setting up a vertical approach once again here. Kept it tight to the pocket, couldn't quite ride out. So again, we're not going to see a massive number drop on the left-hander.
He needed to finish that move to really get the judges to think about it. That last final move. Those are the kind of lefts you want to see, though. Those ones that are pushed way up top next to where the right is, so it looks like it's a right, but it actually bends onto the reef. So Richie talked about the surgeon's table, and there's actually a shallow section there, and if you can get your wave to kind of finish up in that area of the lefts, generally you've chosen a good wave. And that was almost there. Had he pulled that last move off, we would have been definitely seeing the question marks.
Kolohe's put himself on a couple of very high-quality waves. He surfed them extremely well. He's got another good-looking wall here. Let's see what he can do. Trying to get rid of a 6.83. Rolls through to the inside. Draws that carve out. So another clean ride, Pete. Where do you think this one's going to go?
It's really, it's tough to say. I mean, and the reason being is that there's such different styles. You know, that was really quick and explosive, but it didn't have that big fan of water that you see from Jordy. So it's not going to probably be as impactful from a distance away, but it doesn't take away from the difficulty of the maneuver. You know, again, he does it right in the critical section. Look at how steep that section is. He does a little underneath. Now that I watch it again, he didn't quite have that straight up vertical of the nose of the board. You know, and I think that that's a point of difference, because it's much more difficult to have that nose pointed straight up and then do the layback snap. But at this point, it came down to that exchange. It was so close. And I just don't think that...
We did hear a siren there, but not sure what's going on. It doesn't look like Jordy's too perturbed. I think maybe the siren just went off, but we'll work that out for you. But there is still 7 minutes on the clock as far as we can tell, and the last score came through at a 5.5. For me, looking at the performances so far in these quarterfinals, Jordy Smith is the only competitor getting close to John Florence for the size of those individual moves. I think Kolohe's killing him with wave selection at the moment. Jordy sort of had more bump on his rides. He had that one quality wave with the 8.33, but it did flatten out a little bit through the inside. So I just think that if Jordy gets himself a quality wave, he's a really good chance at breaking into the 9s. Kolohe's had a few shots now, and his trend is kind of a bit of a worry. He started with a 9.17, had a 6.83 on his second ride, third, fourth wave. He's kind of going backwards with his numbers, where he should be feeling more confident and be attacking his rides a little more. And here we go, Jordy Smith, another high-risk first turn option. Let's see if this time he can find that high-impact inside section. Transitioning well at the moment. Wow. And gets his board back up there.
2 for 1.
He likes it, letting the judges know he's happy with it this time. Trying to better a 7.68.
That was pretty cool. You know, the 2 for 1s generally you can, and the reason why I say 2 for 1 is that he packed in 2 moves in a section that really only deserved 1. Sometimes when that happens, you know, it can take away from the quality of move.
Andino now. Let's see if he can throw some more high-risk moves. He's going to pull into the barrel and finds the exit. A beautiful looking wave. Again, his ability to pick the waves that open up. Well, it's been second to none out there this morning. And he can finish this wave off with a nice big floating re-entry, and that should be another exceptional score. A better barrel ride than he had on his first wave.
That was one of the best barrels I've almost seen here. I mean, Kelly was rivaling a couple years ago with his, but that one was deep. And you see how he set it up too. I mean, he needed it too. I feel like that score for Jordy is going to be the 7.68. What a finish. We asked for it, and we're getting it, and there's still time.
Plenty of time, and don't forget to check out the WSL store. Plenty of great merchandise you can tap into there. Jerseys, clothing for men and women, kids as well, calendars and prints. But here's the replay.
That was beautiful. That was a little further up the point looking into it, so it didn't seem as long and deep, but it sure was still a beautiful barrel. He was able to get the finish as well, knowing how important that could be. You know, and if you're going to look at scores comparison-wise, you know, let's see. Now we can see right into it. Look at this wave. I mean, you're right. He did choose just the perfect line and the perfect wave to give him this opportunity, and he was going to need it. Because the score for Jordy, see this one now, but look at, you're talking about those high impactful turns. See that layback snap? Again, much more vertical with the board, and that's making this so much more difficult.
Well, Jordy got an 8.53 out of this ride, so he took the lead, but we're waiting on the scores to come through for Andino now, Pete, and well, we're expecting something pretty special.
Yeah, and here's that water angle, but see the board going more vertical into it, into that maneuver? So strong too. And look at that, just right up it. You said it. You know, somebody that can rival John in those single maneuvers. He definitely is Jordy, but wow, the wave selection has just been impeccable for Kolohe. 2 huge barrels, And look at those scores.
A 9.6, Andino back out in front. Jordy Smith now comboed, chasing a two-wave total of 18.78 to turn this. There's just not a lot of time remaining in a lineup. Generally does take quite a bit of time to see you get a couple of set waves or get a wave, get back to the takeoff zone, I should say. So Jordy's up against it here.
Yeah, no, it would be basically nearly impossible. I mean, and to put up a 16.83 two-wave total and be comboed, yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow. But Kolohe, I mean, you talk about wave selection and just the right line as well. I mean, I think that Kolohe, you know, if some of the strategy he was going into this is he had to be on the best waves, he did that exact.
He's been getting good waves this year, had some great training sessions in the lead up when California was just lighting up at the beginning of the year, Pete.
Yeah, he spent some time up in our hood. You know, he went and rode some big water. You know, in January was a really good time of year for us up north, and he spent a couple weeks, you know, chasing waves with Nat Young and getting good surf, and I think that's really helpful to dial in equipment especially for a place like this.
What a heat this has been. A great battle going back and forward. Jordy Smith laying down some big turns, and Dino getting piped out there that last wave. It was beautiful from the takeoff. Strider, you enjoyed the view.
How could you not? Watching Kolohe take off on that wave, Andino came off the bottom and he was drawing a line that was he still had a choice and was looking at it, wondering if it was going to clamp, and you could see him having to deal with all the chop coming up the face. So having to look both ways, dealing with all that chop coming up the face, and then just setting the rail. So the board really settling in under his feet, pulling into the tube, really finding that perfect line to come through it out into the corner. It was just one of those moments of a decision, and just a beautiful one, and he had to make it on the go. And as you come off the bottom, you can really see the way that the wave was drawing and the chops coming up the face at him, and his head having to make the decision. And from the water, you could really see it, and then he made the perfect one, slipped right through the barrel, comes out, gets another 9. Beautiful work.
Yeah, amazing to watch that. I'm sure it was even better from Strider's perspective there, but we spoke about it a little earlier, Pete. Getting a quality wave in competition is one thing. Surfing it to its full potential is another. Kolohe made that high-risk maneuver on the inside as well. Over the closeout, a 9.6 was the reward. 40 seconds to go, and he might be about to get his first ever head-to-head heat win over Jordy Smith. 2 previous battles for these two, and Jordy has won both of them.
I think a lot of what Strider was describing there too is, you know, off the bottom there, you almost stall your bottom turn. You're not compressing, you're almost just kind of waiting off that bottom. And then he literally ducked underneath the garage door, just coming over his head, ducked underneath it, and he was there for that moment, perfectly timed. I mean, it's exactly how he had to ride that wave. You know, sometimes you'll see guys that'll do the arm drag and try and stall it, but that, you don't get to hold your speed that way. You know, you have to be able to pump through it, whereas that was he was able to kind of squirt up into the barrel, and it gave him the perfect line.
An amazing effort. The highest heat score total of the day so far, 18.77 for Kolohe Andino, and he is now going to take on Felipe Toledo in the semi-finals. And he's going to ride one in switch. Nice little cut back here for Andino.
Hey, well, the best guys, you know, the guys that are in the air, generally can switch foot pretty good.
Grab rail.
That's not easy to do. Yeah, there's the future. Being able to do that in the jersey.
But the immediate future is looking pretty good for us, Pete. A couple of huge semi-final battles about to unfold. Jack Freestone will be up against John Florence. When we return from the break, we'll bring...
Do you like that? Well, if so, subscribe over there and then watch more videos over there. And then tell us your favorite videos down there. It's a 3-step process. Do them all now.